Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Really excited about this interview. Definitely one of my favorite characters on Cobra Kai. You also may know her for the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina as Nagaina. You may also know her as Gina in Bonding. Writer, director, and actress Vanessa Rubio. Vanessa, thank you so much for taking time out of your day with me.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you for this opportunity to talk to you.
Of
It's so
course.
nice to just talk about what we do and what we love to do.
So before we jump into the interview, I want to brag about you because I don't know if you remember me. We met in Texas back in October.
Did we at San Antonio?
Yeah, so I don't know if this might give you a hint.
Yes, of course I have that. I love it.
Yes, so
It's
I,
such a lovely gift. Thank
of
you.
course. So I really want to talk. I really want to talk about that experience for a second, because some of the viewers that may not have met you. So I've been in the cosplay and convention scene for about on and off, I would say about 12 years, and I've met a lot of celebrities. I have some good experiences and bad experiences. I'm really excited to say that with the Cobra Kai cast, I have no bad experiences, and
Oh,
I actually have those pictures up with me here too. So let me see if I can share
okay.
some of those.
Yeah, I want to see them.
Yeah. So this, if you can see this one.
Uh, well, Jeremy, you were you were clearly unrecognizable. Oh my god, that was great. Yeah. Now it's all coming back. You looked great and
Thank you.
I mean, tell me, how do you do these bonsais and you do the drum? Do you do it all yourself?
Yeah, so a lot of this cosplay I actually kind of put together, really just buying different things. So what's really cool is that, and so this was something with Peter with Cobra Kai Companion Network, who we interviewed before. One of my
Yeah,
good friends in the
love.
in the space. We've kind of debated back and forth. So with these specific clothes, they were kind of like military clothes. So I thought in the original films that maybe Mr. Miyagi wore those as his work clothes. So we've kind of like he and I've kind of like talked about that back and forth. The hardest part about this is just spraying my hair with like temporary spray, not spray paint, but
Yeah.
hairspray. And then the bonsai I did not make, but I did buy it from Amazon. Ralph actually signed it
Oh,
back
nice.
back in Dallas. And now the drums, yeah, the drums were all hand painted by me.
Wow, they're beautiful. I have it in my kitchen.
Awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. So I'm glad to.
Yeah, just, whenever
Yeah.
I'm cooking or passing by, I know I can grab it and give a little.
Exactly. I actually have one more picture to show you too, and I really love this picture as well because it's with the entire cast that was there that Friday.
Mm.
So if you can see this one, so
Aw, oh my gosh, look at me. My shirt is half tucked in, half tucked out. I'm so sorry.
oh, yeah, no, I never noticed. No, but I'm going to tell you why I
Apparently, I
love.
didn't either.
Yeah, what I really love about this picture is that when I walked in, you, Sholo, Billy, Johnny looked at me, and I stopped for a second and bowed to you guys, and you all bowed back to me. So that was like one of
Oh,
the awesome, like kind of like Cobra Kai real life moments that I had, and I love how happy, like, and you also you and Sholo were. I'm like, hey, where do I go in the picture? And you and him were like, hey, come in the middle, and like, Sholo looks so happy to see Mr.
I
Mr.
know. Oh
Miyagi here.
my
So
gosh. I just adore Sholo. I mean, I
yeah,
adore all the cast, but of course, the ones that I had, the most work scenes with and to build that camaraderie, they're just so close to my heart. It's just something so special. And it's one of those things that I think as time goes on, as like the original Karate Kid and the whole legacy, it just builds over time in this really beautiful, magical way that honestly, is a surprise to us too, the cast too, where we're seeing this thing just bloom and we're in awe as well.
yeah, and I really can't stress enough to that if you guys get a chance to meet Vanessa at a convention, please go meet her, go support her. One of the best experiences. Me and my then girlfriend, now fiance, had a pleasure
Ooh,
of meeting with you. So
congratulations, Jeremy.
thank you. But before we dive more into Cobra Kai, I've been following your Instagram very closely. You've been doing a lot of traveling, which has been awesome. Tell me about some of the favorite places you visited so far.
Yeah, I don't know if you're a travel fan as well, but man, once you start, it's just like the whole world opens up to you. And I do remember in college, I studied abroad in Italy, and I
Oh wow.
remember riding in the back seat of my parents' car when I came back, and I was just like, I found a healthy addiction. It's travel. I absolutely love it. I mean, it goes with me. I'm a Sagittarius. Um, but recently, I've been really drawn and led to these places, which some would call sacred sites. These places with really rich, deep history. And I find it just amazing, the energy there and the people who you meet along the way. I think it all weaves into a story. And I really, truly believe that when we go to different places, we activate different places in us, so different parts of me will start to be like, oh, maybe I remember this, or maybe it's calling a certain energy to me forward now. So I'm in for the journey, and it's taken me for a journey. So I love the way that it changes me. So I'm going with it. And
That's
you'll probably
awesome.
see some more, but the most recent one was Egypt, which
Yes.
I had been to before in my early 20s. But now, nearly 20 years later, I went back as adult, through new eyes, and with a very special group led by a phenomenal tour guide there, who was a pyramid gatekeeper, passed down through his own lineage of his family, Sayed of Golden Light. Hello. Um, and they just, they took such good care of us and led us into some really beautiful spaces. But of course, if you're led into that space, it's really up to you to be open to receiving whatever messages you receive, and to be respectful, and to, the physical reality is one reality, but there are so many other different realities too.
Right.
So it's really exciting.
Is there a place? I mean, Egypt definitely would be somewhere I would like to visit. Is there a place that you want to go and haven't been yet? For me, Japan is since my childhood. I've always wanted to go to Japan, but
Likewise,
mhm.
for me as well, Japan. I would love to go to Australia.
Okay,
Um, where else? I think I would really like to go to Morocco, and different parts of Africa. My family is mixed race, and although I haven't done a test to send in, maybe one day I will.
same.
But I've always been curious about where that lineage and my own heritage comes from. So I'm like, I'm a fantastical thinker, and I'm like, maybe if I go there, I'll feel it.
Right, right.
Which I think, is possible.
Yeah, no, that's I think that's a really really great idea because I've yet to do like a 23andMe as well, and
Mhm.
my fiance's like, do one already, hurry up. So I think that's probably something I would like to do as well, especially if I find out where my lineage is from, is to kind of visit those countries and things like that. So I think
Yeah.
that's a really really wonderful idea to do. So tell me about Liv and Josh.
Liv and Josh, oh my gosh, you did your deep research. That was like my first foray, a recent graduate out of college, just like really wanting to tell stories. And I was taking classes at SVA, School of Visual Arts in New York City. And we did a workshop for a one scene, story. So I wrote it up, did the workshop, live workshop with actors. And there was a wonderful other student there named Che. Hey, Che, who he saw it and he was like, wow, I really love that story. I can't get it out of my mind. And we reconnected about a year and a half later. And he, asked me, he's like, did you ever film that? Did you ever make it into a film? I said, no. He said, I'll help you do it. So thank goodness for him, because I threw myself in the deep end. I had no idea what directing was, or, didn't even know how to do room tone. But I was just like, I want to do this, and came together. And I'm a big fan of integrating different formats. So I was really falling in love with 8 millimeter film at the time, and so you know through like Craigslist and stuff, I got an 8 millimeter projector, I got the
Oh wow.
camera, so I integrated that into what we filmed digitally, and just kind of created this world where, like, hey, maybe people are still watching 8 millimeter somewhere in their basement and talking about relationships, and um, the visualizations of it. I'm also a painter, and just an all around artist, so I fall in love with the different the different things we can convey and communicate visually. So that really came together nicely. It was entered into a few festivals, and it was just nice. Maybe I'll come back to digging that part of me up and directing more. So thanks for asking about it.
Of course. As somebody, so I'm a huge nerd. So like when I was a senior in high school, I said this in a recent live stream. Me and my friends, we did a 20-minute fan film of Double Dragon, like the original arcade game. It's never going to see the light of day, but I know exactly what you're talking about, of like
Yeah.
18-year-old me trying to write a script, trying to direct and edit and things like that. And funny enough, of course, all these years later, now I'm doing things on YouTube and whatnot. So what really brings me to my next question too is because now the scripts I do now are different from like a traditional film script and things like that. How how do you get past writer's block? Have you ever encountered that?
All the
I'm just
time. It's a constant passenger seat in the car that you're driving. Oh, you might as well make friends with it and get to know it and be like, what am I doing? Um, I really had a breakthrough last year because I was training to be a breathwork facilitator and was undergoing this 8-month course with Alchemy of Breath, and they're based in Italy. Wonderful people who run it, Anthony and Amy. Hello, love you guys. Um, and it really took you deep into your own behaviors and your own shadows and your own, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And while I was going through that course, I kind of felt this other layer of awareness building over me, so I can actually watch myself procrastinate and hold myself in loving care and, not get down on myself about it. I think we all struggle with it. And I think it's to our benefit to just talk about it and share it. And, like you said, just ask the questions. What do you do about it?
Mhm.
What I've found recently was just observe it. And the awareness of that is like, and sometimes I observe myself doing it and I'm like, okay, well, I'm still here for you.
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to get down on you about it. That's wasted energy. Let's just
Right.
walk you through this. Maybe you need to walk outside. Maybe you need to, take the pen out. And eventually you do. Then all of a sudden, your inner artist self unfolds naturally. It doesn't like to be prodded. You know how delicate it is. But eventually we do the things, and we have to also give ourselves credit for I mean, you're doing this. You're doing this YouTube channel. You did it. I, am doing my acting, I'm doing my writing, I'm doing it in some capacity. Of course, do we want to do more? Of course, but we could be loving to ourselves too.
Right. No, that's really great advice. I actually talked to Sean Kanan recently on the channel. He offered some very similar advice, and you both mentioned going for walks and things like that. And so I think we talked about this briefly at the convention. I don't think I ever talked to you about my process. So
Mhm.
for me, it's very like love hate, because with well, I wouldn't say with Cobra Kai, but I take pride in my work and I don't want to half do anything. So like when a new season comes out, for example, so I watch it first as a fan. Then I watch it again for the Easter eggs. And then if I'm looking at certain characters, I go back and watch either the previous seasons where I'm not caught up on, or the season one. And so I'm like absorbing the show like so many times. And then it gets to that point where I do have to take a break. And there have been times where I've taken breaks from the channel, and things like that. So I'm glad to hear it's not just me that's dealing, with
Mhm.
things like that. So it's, yeah.
It's not. I always say that I know whoever is inspiring to me is any creative in this world, any artist who is remaining creative and who's doing their art. That's enough.
Yeah, that's very, very well said. So I want to ask you about something. So you did a interview with Cobra Kai Nation a while back. You talked about one of your favorite Catwoman iterations was Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh yeah.
So, this I got a couple of different questions actually. Did you? So for me, I definitely grew up with Batman and Batman Returns. So Michael
Mhm.
Keaton, definitely one of my
Yeah,
favorite
the classic.
Batman guys. Do you have like? Do you remember like the first time seeing Batman Returns? Like, was it with friends, family? Tell me about that experience. I'm kind of curious.
In the movies, you know. Don't even know. I mean, I think when I was young, I used to sneak into R-rated movies all the time. It was just like how I grew up, I think my parents were just like, "We got it to the movie. You're gonna watch it." But yeah, that one, I was just so I just loved seeing a woman, a female character, go through this beautiful arc, and she just played it so magnificently, and kind of embodying this really like feral energy and being a real opponent to our hero Batman, you know, but also interestingly enough, we were rooting for them both. You know I was like, I still want to see her win. You know? So, and I really liked the tension that they built between it, because it was like, I really enjoy when opponents and you know, nemesis characters have a very complex relationship where they're like reflections of each other,
Right.
and then the moments where they realize that and it freaks them out. Like they're like, I hate you, but actually I really like you. Thanks for being thanks for challenging me. I think those are really rich relationships to explore and see on screen.
Definitely. I feel like that movie doesn't get enough love because it was
Yeah.
definitely darker in tone from the first one. But, you know, when you think about things like, you know, The Dark Knight or Dark Knight Rises, you know, people love those movies. And I think very similar tones.
Yeah.
So I was kind of sad to hear. I mean, I was really, really young when I saw it. So, like, being able to see it again now with adult eyes is really, really cool. So it's like the soundtrack, you know, Danny Elfman.
So
So
good.
talented. Yeah, definitely one of my favorite movies. And you had also mentioned in that same interview that I believe Rogue and Storm were some dream roles of yours or favorite
Rogue and
characters,
Storm,
maybe.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you grow up with the comics or the show?
Comics. Well, both.
Okay.
The
Okay.
animated show, um, and then the comics. Really, I love comics. I love graphic novels. Um, they just bring everything together for me that I like, you know, visuals and dreamscapes. Um, I remember my mother actually gave me a comic. She bought it at the grocery store. She was like, "I thought you might like this," and it was just the cover. And
Right.
the cover was like these two, it was like Rogue and Gambit like coming together, like and some like sort of sky storm.
Right.
And I just saw the cover and I was like, yeah, I like this.
Exactly.
So yeah, I was inspired by those characters. I mean, who's female characters who can fly and command the
Right.
weather? Yeah, sign me up.
Yeah. It was so for me, unfortunately, because so I'm from Texas.
Mm,
I grew up in the Victoria area, but I live in Houston now. So
mm,
unfortunately, at that time during the '90s, comic shops were not prevalent where I grew up. So a lot of my introduction was the '90s TV show and the
yeah,
video games that Capcom did. So it was really, you know, like all the time I love to play like X-Men versus Street Fighter in the arcade. 'Cause I'm a big Street Fighter guy too. So it's really cool to hear that. You know, you're so inspired by X-Men as well. So let's talk about some Cobra Kai.
let's do it.
Um, so I kind of briefly talked to you this about the conventions, and this is something I like to ask like a lot of a lot of actors and actresses as well that have parallels. Did you notice the parallels between Carmen and Lucille when you were first reading the script? Was it something you kind of like found later on? How did you approach playing Carmen?
Well, I think the similarities, there are similarities for sure. They're trying to make a better life for themselves and their child, primarily their child. Um, they're just going at it, you know. They're just trying the best, and then the car similarities, you know, I think they brought that up later on in the seasons. My mom's having trouble with her car, this and that. Um, and how, gosh, I still remember that part in Karate Kid when they have to get out and push the car. I was
Oh
so,
yeah.
oh my God, so embarrassed and so, you know, like, oh, immediately brought you on the side of Daniel like that, right?
Right.
Um, but I mean, yeah, I think I drew a lot on how I grew up in New Jersey. I grew up in a household that, you know, two immigrant parents, both my parents are from Colombia. They came in their early 20s, worked so hard. I mean, they taught me about work ethic. If they weren't doing one job, they were doing another. But then
Right.
also very lovingly, you know, providing us with a lot of love in the house. But of course, you know, busy doing this and that. So we had to, you know, oh, who's picking us up from work, from school today? This person, that person. But always trying to improve, My mother was always trying to get us into the best schools and always kind of pushing us. So I think that really filtered in. I drew a lot from the little things I noticed growing up, how my mother was with me, how other women were with their children. So it all fed in, and the twist here is that um, Carmen is definitely. I mean, she winds up getting married to her child sensei. That didn't happen in the original film, so we have a completely different storyline and energies,
Right.
which just had to be found out in the process.
Definitely. Yeah, I really liked how you answered that question because that was a follow-up question I was going to ask is was there
Yeah.
any like real life inspiration that you drew from? And that was some of the fan questions too. We
Mm.
had at least like 30 fan questions come in.
Yay,
Yeah, so
nice.
I've been trying to like kind of
Balance it,
balance
yeah.
it here. So so here's a question because I'm kind of curious too. Well, a couple different questions actually. So right after season 5, I actually predicted that they would tease us with the pregnancy scare because of Johnny's similarities to Mr. Miyagi and Mr. Miyagi unfortunately losing his wife during complications at birth and things like that. How early ahead did you know about that storyline? I mean, thankfully Carmen and the baby survived, but
Yeah.
was that something that was like teased on very, or was it?
That's so astute of you because I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm just playing the role.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, no, I didn't even. It occurred. I mean, I discovered it when I read the script, you know. But of course, the Rocky references were pretty obvious,
Right.
um, and that was very sweet. That's another, Avildsen movie that we all grew up on and has a special place in our hearts. So it was really nice to be tying those two together in that scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
What an emotional scene.
Oh yeah, it was so good, and Rocky too, or all the Rocky films really. I grew up with like in high school too. Very very relatable, along with the Karate Kid. Very relatable movies. Yeah, it was so funny because I remember I did like this prediction video of like what's going to happen in season 6, and I said this is probably like I even did like a warning. He was like, because it's a really dark theory. I said, hopefully they do not go this route. And that was one of the things I was like, I could not believe that I actually called like 2 or 3 years ahead of time. Cause like that video came out, I think it was right after season 5 drops. Cause I was doing like some predictions of the season ahead. So, no, it was great. And I love like all the parallels that the writers make. So we do have a fan question, from user GMK 1956 on YouTube. Do you, Vanessa Rubio, actually like Top Gun? Or is there another film you prefer?
I prefer the Avildsen films. I love Rocky. I love The Karate Kid. Top Gun. Top Gun is one of those movies I think I could watch like in a group of people and have just a lot of fun because it's like you're both like it's all the nostalgia, but then for me, I'm also like kind of laughing at the movie, you know what I mean? Because it's so
Right,
over the top and ridiculous sometimes. But what I will say, I really love the sequels that came out recently. Oh, they were so well done.
definitely.
Yeah.
Um, here's one question I've always kind of wondered too, because I loved how Carmen handled it in season 5. This is another fan question as well. Was there any resentment towards Robby, like in your mind when you were playing Carmen, like after season 2, leading up to the events of season 5? Because I thought it was really awesome that Carmen was just so welcoming. Like, okay, if Johnny trusts, them two together, then I'm gonna trust them two together.
I thought that really a lot of the forgiveness came and that work that she did came. Now I'm forgetting what season it was. I think it was season 4 when Carmen and Johnny are having the orange juice on Johnny's couch, and she's kind of
Oh yeah, season 3.
season 3. Yeah, I think that was really for my interpretation of the character and how I felt it play out. That was when she did all the forgiveness stuff. When
Right.
she just had to say, living with this pain and this resentment and caretaking for my son and almost losing him is not something I ever want to go back to. So how can we repair this, and how can I actually find that real forgiveness in my heart? Because these guys are not going away, you know.
Right. Right.
This guy's gonna keep on coming over and teaching my son karate.
Right.
And he's really trying hard. So I think that was the heart softening moment. And then, you know, Robby is just, I think, as an adult looking at somebody who's the same age as her son, it's like you just don't know what you're doing at that age. And I have to be the adult here and not give you another hurdle in your life because you've had it hard enough. And also, you know, there's real love for your father. So how can we build a family with new beginnings, new foundations, just letting go of the past really, and saying yes,
Right.
and trusting.
That's that's really awesome to hear. I'm always, because I do character analysis on the channel so much, so it's always, I love hearing like the mindset that the actors and actresses approach that. So, and especially Amanda LaRusso as well. You guys are both parallel, keeping Johnny and Daniel in check together. So, in kind of speaking of that wisdom, so in that scene I was talking about where you're like, hey Robby, you're welcome over anytime. Did you notice like the color scheme they had you wear, which is purple, which symbolizes wisdom and enlightenment? Did that kind of occur to you as well when you were doing that scene?
Yeah, yeah, it did. I love the color purple myself. And there's all these, you know, the costume designer and the art director, they put little things in there that really help you, you know, as an actor. I remember in the hospital, this setting scene, I think is season 3, it must have been. Um, the art director put in a book on forgiveness
Oh wow, I
in
didn't
the
even notice that.
hospital. Yeah, I mean, it's off camera and you can't even see it,
Oh, I
but
see.
it fed into the life that I built as a character, as you know, the acting part of it, because there's so much backstory you have to fill in. You're like, well, what's this character doing with the rest of their days? And when they're not on camera, you know, they have a whole life. So I remember picking up that book and being like, thank you, art director. Because yeah, this would be a book that Carmen would have and be reading, you know, in the chair waiting for her son to heal. And so it feeds in because that's really what life is. You know, it's not just the moments that you're interacting with your family members or your loved ones or the people who are important to you. It's the little things you do for yourself and the quiet moments.
Right. That's awesome. I know we're running out of time because I have so many burning questions. So open
Ah,
invitation for
you
you to come
bet.
back.
Yeah.
So let me do a quick fan question. Um, so this is from Jeremy, who says, in the film, Dad is dead, but we're okay. The speech you made about parents being divorced and how Dad died was so real. It made me bust out laughing. I might be misreading this question. Was that improv or written? How did you do that with a straight face?
Ah, that's so great. Thank you for watching that film. That was a thesis film, I believe. A really talented film director, and he wrote it. He absolutely wrote that piece. It was an improv, and yeah, I think that's just a really delicate space to navigate, where you're just like life is coming at you so fast and hard, and you're also grieving, but it's not the crying kind of grieving, it's the, like, I'm ready to punch somebody in the face. I'm not gonna do that, so I have to contain it and just kind of also, um, uh, give some words to the ridiculousness of life in this present moment, you know, which so many times happens where you're like, "Really? Why? Why?"
Right.
So yeah, that's where really that came from, just this certain space.
That's awesome. Well, Vanessa, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to speak with me. Again, this is awesome, awesome interview, mainly because you're one of the cast that I was able to meet, and also then the first person I was able to meet in person, and then also interview. So thank you.
Oh, wonderful. That's so thank you for showing me the photo first off, because I never would have recognized you. That cosplay was really well done.
Thank you.
The gift was really special, so thank you. Like I said, I still have it. And thanks for making your way to San Antonio from Houston, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it takes all those things. And congratulations on your fiance
Thank you.
and the coming celebrations that'll ensue.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So thank you guys for tuning in. You guys stay beautiful, stay awesome. We'll catch you around next time.
Bye.